Have you ever felt burnt out or know people in your life that say they're experiencing burnout? The word burnout has become ubiquitous. It seems to sum up the stress and exhaustion that many of us are feeling. And what does the term burnout actually mean? How does burnout differ from fatigue or stress? How do you know if you're burnt out? And what do we do to combat burnout? In today's episode, we'll dive into the science of burnout and share tools you can use to prevent or alleviate the effects of burnout. Welcome to Tell Me More and Then Some.
I'm Alina.
And I'm Angeline.
Join us as we dive deep into the topics that fuel our conscious evolution and keep us learning as students of life.
We invite you to come along and share the ride. We hope you're empowered to learn and grow into the best and most authentic version of yourself. We're so happy you're here. Let's go.
Did you know research has shown that since March 2023, 89% of workers have experienced burnout within the past year? In 2022, the burnout rate was 59%, which was up 14% from 2021. According to the National Institutes of Health, burnout is a psychological syndrome emerging as a prolonged response to chronic interpersonal stressors. The three key dimensions or symptoms of this response are an overwhelming sense of exhaustion, feelings of cynicism and detachment from your job, and a sense of ineffectiveness and lack of accomplishment. What's going on in your body when burnout is happening? Decreased activity of the prefrontal cortex, which is the executive functioning center of your brain, and increased activity in the amygdala, which is responsible for your fight or flight response. Brain circuits that generate emotions like fear get stronger, so you may start seeing the world as harmful, even though it's not. Essentially, as humans, we need our fight or flight response because they're there to protect us. But if you remain in either state for an extended period of time, that's essentially burnout. According to a 2022 study by Deloitte, women are more likely to report experiencing burnout than men, 81% versus 73%, respectively. This can be due to a number of factors like gender pay gap, disproportionate burden of caregiving that women bear. They're more likely to be responsible for a parent or children, and women are likely to work in high-stress jobs like healthcare, education, and social work. Now that we've talked a little bit about what burnout is, how it affects us, and who it affects, Angie's going to put it into context for us.
I actually recently read a book called Burnout, The Secret to Unlocking the Stress Cycle, and it's by Emily Nagoski, who's a PhD, and her sister, Amelia Nagoski. They say that burnout is a condition related to overwhelming stress, and they differentiate between stress and stressor. So a stressor, that's inevitable. So it's things that activate the stress response that are mostly external. So children, your job, the commute, the 2-hour traffic that you're sitting in, they're all over the place. Stress is the physiological response that happens in your body in response to the stressors. And basically, stress is a chemical stew that's designed to help us evolutionarily survive the stress, like being chased by a lion or charged by a hippo, similar to what Alina was saying regarding the fight or flight response. So when we stay in stress for prolonged periods of time, it's typically where burnout happens. What I love about something they talk about is completing the stress cycle. And it's basically you thinking of your emotions as a tunnel. So you go in the tunnel, and if you don't complete the stress cycle, which is coming out the other end, you're stuck in that tunnel, which leads to burnout. I thought that was a really interesting way of putting it because a lot of times I think many of us are stuck. We don't think about getting out of that. And I know that's a little confusing. We'll talk about some tools for that.
But it's just like we're an autopilot.
Absolutely. And we don't think about what can we do to not let the effects of this build up. And so I just thought they had a very approachable way of explaining burnout. Have you ever been burnt out?
I feel like everybody has been burnt out at some point or another, right? I think of it as stress, but like staying in, like stress is something that's fleeting, right? Like you can be stressed for an hour
Correct.
or maybe you had a stressful day,
Right.
but then that stress went away when you went home and saw your family, for example, right?
Sure. Yeah.
But if you're burnt out, what we're essentially saying is it's that repeated feeling of stress for extended periods of time. And I think for me, the most recent experience of that was last year. Was it last year?
Yeah.
Yeah, last year when my mom had open heart surgery. I remember a friend actually saying to me that she was worried because I was just my like limbic system was fried essentially,
Mm.
and that she was worried that I was just in autopilot mode, and I had to be because I had a full-time job that was very demanding. It was a newer job.
That's right. I remember that.
And she was in the hospital for months, and she really needed me day in and day out to make decisions for her, um, to talk to the doctors.
Yeah.
So I just remember, yeah, being stressed all day,
Right.
coming home, trying to get some sleep, waking up, doing it all over again, not knowing what to expect.
Yeah.
I was just fried.
That's a tough moment, I think, for anybody. I guess I'm curious about, did you, because you still got through it, right? Obviously, you weren't thriving, you were surviving, but you got through it. And so, where my mind is going is some people don't, right? So, what are the ways in which you were able to still get through it?
It makes me sad to think about probably the millions of people in the world who are in this constant state of burnout.
Right.
You know, like we know when you're driving and like somebody miserable is just honking at you and you're like, geez,
Yeah.
you're just miserable. Like, you know, and you just have to let it go, right?
Right.
But when I think about those people, they're stuck in the tunnel and they can't get out.
Yeah.
It's sad
It is sad. Yeah.
because I don't think that I don't know, but I probably wasn't the most pleasant person during that period of time.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to find things, you know, like being nice to a nurse if she was
Yes.
good to my mother, or buying them donuts or buying them a gift card for lunch. But outside of that, I don't think I was very pleasant. I don't know.
Huh.
Like I don't know. I was very disconnected from the world, I feel. I was so focused on just get through the day.
Right.
Just get through being there for your mother. Just get through the work day. So it just makes me sad that people are in a constant state. Is that a good way of thinking about it too? Like in a constant
Right.
state of burnout, in a constant state of stress, in a constant state of
Correct. That
fight or flight.
Yeah, and they're consistently in the tunnel. They're stuck in the tunnel, right? They haven't been able to get through the other side. And when we say things like she's a miserable human, and I know we sometimes say that when we're upset about at the person, etc., but that's the reality for a lot of people. And I will just make a comment about what you said. I find it hard to believe that you're unpleasant. I think you're just not overly pleasant. Because like
Thanks.
you said, you were getting through it, but I can't see you being very unpleasant. Anyway,
I think just being aware of it too, right? Like,
huge.
um, you wonder how many people are aware of the fact that their, I guess, limbic system is in this heightened state of fight or flight.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's not sustainable
No.
at all.
Right.
Um, like I said earlier, it's not meant to be, it's great that we have it, we need it to
Yeah.
survive, right? but nobody can be in that constant state and be healthy.
No, absolutely not. And I think it's interesting to delineate. So, your situation with your mother, right? She was ill and she had surgery. And shortly after that, I would say once things settled and she got home, and you correct me if I'm wrong, you were able to kind of get back to like this sense of homeostasis or
Mm-hmm.
equilibrium.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's important to mention that sometimes it's not circumstantial, right? So life can be a full ball of stress that activates that fight or flight. So, for example, children, having a house full of children, right? That I'm sure, I don't know from experience, but I've heard from people can really activate the stress response. And parents are so busy going to work, coming home. It's a emotional, like it's a flood of stress. I think those moments, it's very important to be aware of how to complete the stress cycle, quote unquote, going on to the other side of the tunnel consistently so that your life doesn't keep you under this, overload of burnout.
Yeah, I have friends that fit into that description or category. I mean, I have, I think maybe 90% of my girlfriends are married with children,
Mm-hmm.
maybe 80%, but most of my girlfriends are
Yeah.
married with children. And I think almost all of them have full-time jobs. And I tell them constantly, I don't know how you do it.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do it. Like I have myself and my dog, and I'm working 12-hour days,
Right.
and I have a hard time taking care of my dog. Like,
Girl, I don't even have a dog and I have a hard time taking care of me.
like, I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they get up in the morning, get the kids to school,
Yeah.
Kiss their husbands,
Right.
work, come home, do dinner, showers. I don't even know what the process is, but I hear and and then do it all over again.
Yeah.
And, we'll go on a yearly girls trip, for example, and I can see it in some of them. Like they don't even know how to relax.
Ah.
They don't even know how to be in that state of calm.
Yeah.
They still get up early in the morning.
Right.
They want to go, go, go. And I'm like, dude, you're on vacation.
Yeah.
Chill the fuck out.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I don't know if you could relate to this, but in my moments of feeling burnout or chronic stress, I could not relax. Like there was your if you're in burnout, your body is literally constantly saying that there's a threat. So what the hell are you doing lying on the couch just sipping your coffee and enjoying music? Right? I really think that there's this physiological response that tells you you can't. And so I'm not sure about your friends if I can't say that they are burnt out either, but that could be part of it where they're just constantly on the go and literally have no idea how to stop. That's scary.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I mean, I did it. I've done it, but I don't like it.
Yeah.
I mean, we can laugh about it, but
Yeah,
it's a
not
real
easy.
thing, and it's a state that a lot of people are in
Yes.
all the time.
Especially post-pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
We went through a lot as a collective.
Yeah.
I think it's important to let's share ways in which we can complete that stress cycle.
I was thinking about that because I think, but again, I think it's important to differentiate between stress.
Mm-hmm.
I think the words are a little confusing, but like stress, burnout, stressor. Yeah.
Should we do a recap of it?
Yeah, let's do that.
So we got stressor. That's your dog eating your shoe, your child screaming at the top of their lungs,
Your job,
your job,
traffic.
Look at that. Okay, those are stressors. Then we have stress. That is the physiological response to stressors. So if there's traffic, stressors. I just want to make sure I'm saying it clearly. Stressors. Okay, stressors. So the commute that includes traffic sparks the physiological response in your body of stress. Prolonged periods of stress lead to burnout. And so the important thing, as outlined in the book, is when your body is in a state of stress, it's important to quote unquote complete the stress cycle so that you're out of that tunnel and you're not staying in there, which leads to burnout.
And one of the things you can do is, for example, the stressors are you wake up in the morning, you are in a time crunch, you get into traffic, you had a hard day at work, you get back in that traffic, go home, the kids are screaming, you have to make dinner. Like you're constantly, these are all stressors, right?
Yes.
But then you have an hour to go to the gym and work out.
Huge.
Or your significant other or partner gives you a big hug and shows you some kind of love or affection.
Yep.
Like those little things
they're not so little.
Get you out of the tunnel, right?
That's exactly it. Yes.
Okay.
So what they say in the book is there are 7 ways in which we can complete the stress cycle. You just hit on 2 of them, right? We have physical activity, like even a walk around the block when you park your car at the house. Then breathing, just returning to your breath. Even I know that that's a common one, but even doing 1 round of box breathing can help your body to say, we are not in a state of threat anymore, so it's okay to let go of the stress.
What's box breathing?
Box breathing?
I think I know, but
favorite.
Let's tell the listeners.
I do it in the car a lot when I'm in traffic. So it's basically just thinking of a square and you go up 1 line for 4 seconds, you inhale. Then you go across the square, you hold your breath for 4 seconds. You go down by exhaling for 4 seconds. And you go back across holding it for 4 seconds. Just imagining a box. Inhale, hold, exhale, hold.
And then breathe.
And then breathe normally. You could do multiple rounds, but depending on how lazy I am, I will do at least 1. And I promise you that helps. So your body is literally just getting into your parasympathetic.
I do the 4 second thing.
Yeah.
But I never knew that. I never knew to visualize the box. I like that.
Yeah, I think it just helps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Visual creatures.
Yes, exactly.
It does help.
Yeah. So that's a big one. That's a big one in like communicating to your body that you're safe, right? Because if you're running, you're not breathing like that.
Yeah. So what else can you do?
Huge one. Something that you said when your mom was ill is positive social interaction. I know you said that you would talk to the nurse or, have a good conversation with her. Any positive social interaction will again tell your body that it's okay and that you are safe. So whether it's going to the barista and saying, I like your earrings, or like you said, talking to the nurse, or even interaction with your family or your loved ones, it can be as small as the first ones and then as big as being with your family and friends, which is more obvious. I think that you said something earlier about viewing the world in a certain way that's in a scary way, as a threatening way. I believe you said that. This makes sense, positive social interaction, because it reiterates to you that the world's not as scary, right? Because you're having positive interactions. You're not, in combat with people and telling them that you like their earrings.
Yeah.
So it's clicking for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Too.
Laughter, that's the next one. And they make it a point to signify real laughter, It's not the someone says something funny and you're like, oh my gosh, not that. It's the real belly laughs with your loved ones, with a friend. It's very healing. And affection, what Alina had mentioned, specifically, they mentioned a 20-second hug releases a really good burst of oxytocin, but any hugs will do. And then a big cry. So it's a physical expression of stress and letting it go, like at the end of the day. I used to do that when my mom was also sick a couple years ago, and I used to do that when I came home.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do that anymore. I don't know what's going on with me, but if I'm having a really stressful day, I can't find the tears like at night. Can you get clogged up? Like I don't know why I have a hard time crying when I'm stressed.
Maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's because you've found other ways of getting through it or past it, like all the other,
Sure.
you
I'll take
know,
that. I'll
like
take that.
all the other. Because they're like,
That's
oh, you
good.
just need a good cry sometimes.
Yes.
Just need a big cry. And
Yes.
that's just not my way.
It's not your way.
It's never, I don't think it's ever really been my way.
I was just going to say that.
But the other things I can absolutely relate to.
Yeah.
Like physical activity, breathing, positive interactions, laughter, affection.
But the cry?
Yeah, that does not resonate with me. But I can see it because I have, obviously.
Yeah.
And it does feel good.
Oh,
It's a release, right?
Yes.
But even if you could just find a couple of these things,
Oh, yeah.
it'll help you get through the tunnel.
Exactly. Through the tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
And the last one that they have is creative expression. So any sort of act of creation, they talk about, taking something difficult, working on it in a creative manner, and it just reminds your body that there's stuff outside of yourself. This is one I really can't resonate with. I'm sure artists, whether they're painting something, writing a song, that's a huge way for them to complete the stress cycle and get through the tunnel.
I don't know. I mean, couldn't like cooking be
Oh, absolutely.
right? Like you get home
I
from
don't
a long
cook.
day. Oh,
Hello. That's not my way.
putting food in the microwave is creative.
I'll take it. Then.
I don't know. Like,
That is definitely one of them. I just don't have that. I haven't employed a creative act of expression yet. I don't think. Outside of listening to music and dancing.
that's creative.
Sure. Do you have anything that you do creatively when
I'm
you're
always
stressed?
rearranging things in the house.
That's true.
These pillows are going to go here. These chairs are going to move here. I'm going to move the couch to this side.
This art moves on this wall.
Yep.
It's always an exciting day when you come to Alina's house because you're like, what's changed today? That's a great way.
Yeah.
That's great.
Mixing essential oils for a new scent in the house in my diffuser.
That's fun. That's great. Shall we move on?
Good stuff. Yeah.
All right. So we're nearing our end. One thing I think is important to point out is the authors talk about how incremental progress is still massive progress when it comes to completing the stress cycle. So doing these activities that we just talked about, it could take a while for you to feel like your body is shifting, right? So they talked about there's like a backlog of stress, but just know that at some point you will feel a shift in your body when you are intentional about completing your stress cycles throughout your days. And there's a quote from the book that illustrates the fact that we cannot avoid stress and to be compassionate with ourselves that I want to share. Are you ready?
Yeah.
To be well is not to live in a state of perpetual safety and calm, but to move fluidly from a state of adversity, risk, adventure, or excitement back to safety and calm and out again. Stress is not bad for you. being stuck is bad for you.
Ugh, being stuck is the worst.
So good. That's so good.
That is really good.
Yeah, we just oscillate between risk, adventure, threat to safety, calm, happiness. Great. Anything else on burnout?
No, just I think recognizing when you're in it is really important.
Mm-hmm.
And if I think back to that feeling of burnout, I don't know that I would have tried to get out of it if somebody didn't bring it to my attention. So maybe in addition to being conscious of your own stressors and stress and burnout,
Yeah.
maybe also just being mindful of where your loved ones sit with stress and burnout, right? So if you recognize that a loved one is experiencing burnout, calling it out and just bringing it to their attention, like it really helped me recognize when my friend was like, hey, are you okay? Like, I know you're going through a lot, but you're literally stuck and the words were, quote, your limbic system is on fire. Did I say on fire? Your limbic system is fried. That was it.
There we go. Fried.
I'm like, fire, fried. And so we chatted about it, right? So I don't know. I think you could help others in just being mindful and aware of the fact that they're in this state because maybe you just don't know.
Well, I don't think you have the capacity to even be aware.
Right.
Right. Yeah, I like that. And I think I'm trying to think of how that would help them. Because it helped you, right?
It did help me.
I think
I didn't get out of it right away, but just being aware of it and thinking, okay, like what can I do? Right. So then like I started taking a walk.
Yes.
Like in the evenings, right? I didn't have the time to work out.
Right.
I didn't have the time for anything. So any social interaction I could get, I would say absolutely yes to. If somebody said, oh, I'm going to come to the hospital or I'm going to come to the house and pay you a visit. Yes, please come over. So
huge. Then I think that's where, yes, do your loved ones a favor, if you see them in this state and, share with them some of the ways that they can help themselves slowly, right? Incremental progress is still massive progress. I think that's something really important to remember.
Yeah.
So we like to end our episodes with something that's bringing us joy lately. I think that's a nice shift from burnout. Let's talk about joy.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to go first?
No.
Okay. What's bringing me joy lately? There is a book called The Pivot Year, and it's 365 days worth of these excerpts that are very, I don't want to say motivational, but they inspire you and they motivate you to reflect on just life and
That's
changes.
a good word. It's very reflective.
Reflective. There, because Alina has this too. Yes, reflective. And so what Andrew, my husband, and I do every night, we read the excerpt for the day and then we reflect on it and, just talk about how it resonates with us. And I always leave that short conversation feeling really uplifted and inspired. So I love that book. It's great. How about you?
I recently bought this foundation. Is it foundation? Yeah.
Yes.
I recently bought this foundation.
She doesn't wear makeup very much, clearly.
Well, like I was obsessed with this. It was a tinted moisturizer with SPF and then it got discontinued. I'm told it'll come back. But I went to the makeup counter. It's just this like really light, dewy foundation. I think Armani makes Yeah, it's by our money.
Mm.
And then I don't know. It just like I look in the mirror and I'm like, damn, your skin looks good.
Girl is looking good. I can confirm that. Yeah, it's looking really good.
It's the little things.
That's a huge thing. It's bringing you joy.
Does that sound shallow?
Absolutely not. Also, come on. There's nothing wrong with wanting to look good and feel good.
Okay.
I think one day we'll talk about the stigma behind, wanting to feel and look good.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing wrong with that.
And then you gave me a compliment today.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. I literally said your skin looks amazing.
It's the foundation.
And there's positive social interaction. Look at that. Bringing it full circle. The makeup led to positive social interaction.
There you have it.
All right. Well, that's all we've got for you today. We'll see you next time on Tell Me More and Then Some. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please rate and review to help us reach more listeners.
To learn more, make sure to follow us on all the socials at moreandthensomepod.
Join us for new episodes every Wednesday on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Until next time, stay curious, learn more, and talk about it.